Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to the Business Freedom Formula channel. My name is John Arns, and today I have the pleasure of having as my guest, Matthew Fornaro. Hello, Matthew. Welcome to the show.
Hello, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Matt, to start off, I wanted to ask you something in particular. It says, are you working on anything really exciting at the moment in your business?
Everything I'm working on litigation wise is always, I don't want to say exciting, but dynamic and moving. So I
Sure.
guess if you want to say that's exciting, yes, I'm always working on exciting legal issues that affect businesses.
Okay. So your law practice then is primarily around um, business law then, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, for example, if anybody watching this program later wanted to contact you about any business contracts or to look over a contract, or do you set up things like LLCs and S corps and C corps?
Yes. Yes, I do litigation and I do transactional law for
Okay.
businesses. So I do, setting up businesses, drafting contracts, reviewing contracts, things like that on the drafting side.
Oh, okay. That sounds I hate to make it sound this way, but having tried to read a number of contracts in my life, that just sounds tedious. I,
It's
I know the legal
yeah,
law, the law, the way the words are written is harder for lay people to understand, but I imagine to
yeah,
you and other people in your profession, it's easy.
it's still tedious. I mean, even though it's easier than if you're, a lay person who's not used to it, but you get used to it and you just go through it and you just make sure that, the contracts you're looking for or you're looking through have the correct provisions. And then depending on who you represent in the contract, you want to make sure you either take stuff out or put stuff in and go back and forth until it's done.
Hmm. Now, do you do some teaching as well? Or do you teach in a law school or do you teach in a business school?
Yes, I volunteer for two different programs that help small businesses. One is for now it's the City of Hollywood for the Kaufman Institute or the Kaufman Foundation, which helps small businesses get started. And the other is for the Jim Moran Institute for Florida State University. It's actually the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. So there are
Okay.
two programs that I was actually a student of and a part of that I graduated from. And now I go back and I help them every semester with doing the business law component
Okay.
and the legal component of their modules.
Yeah. I know that when I went through my MBA program, one of the things I thought that was a little bit lacking was anything regarding business law. Because I think I took my first business law class, I think my second year in community college. I don't even want to tell you how far long ago that was.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way, the Vietnam War was still going on. Okay.
All right.
So,
Um,
and I remember some of it, enough, but it's subsequently through my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, I never really I thought the level of law understanding that one should have when one's in business, you know, other than a little bit like financial considerations when you're talking about finance or um, some touch slightly on legal things like in software development and that kind of thing, privacy issues, but otherwise there really wasn't a lot. Is that typical of business programs or?
yeah, I mean, other than like the traditional business law course, like you're talking about, a lot of business programs don't really talk about the legal issues, or they just kind of touch on the legal
Mhm.
issues, just kind of blow past it because you're dealing with, I guess, other bigger issues regarding business. But the legal aspect and all the legal ramifications regarding, the choice of business entity, your governing documents, your contracts, your employment issues, rental issues if you're a commercial business. those are all major things that kind of, I don't want to say get overlooked. They're kind of just, quickly dealt with. And it's something that's very important that should be part of every business education program.
Yeah, I would think so. Because I know that, I mean, I understood some basic contract things that are maybe even dated, or maybe they were more focused on um local, like California law versus maybe Florida law and that kind of thing. I don't think so. I think it was kind of a general overview. Like, I mean, at the time, for example, we were told that you could not sign a contract and have it legally binding if you were a child, meaning someone under adult age, you were intoxicated or under the influence of anything, or if you were female. Now, at the time, I realized the female thing is probably gone, but I imagine the other two hold water, don't they?
Correct. The
Yeah.
underage and the under the influence
Yeah.
still hold water. Yes.
Yeah. So then it becomes really interesting when you think about like children who are either are in the entertainment industry where they have contracts with an agent, but I guess those are probably dealt with by their parents or guardian, correct?
Correct. Their parents would have the power of attorney over them or would be their
Oh, okay.
guardian or whatever.
Oh, that's right. I never thought of it because I mean I know what a power of attorney is because I had that on my mom's estate for a little bit,
Yeah.
but I never thought about it that way. And you'd think, living just not that far from Hollywood, California, that I would kind of that would be something that would be more talked about in this area, but it really isn't. I mean, most of
Yeah,
us don't know.
the parents are the ones who control the kids, particularly in the entertainment industry.
So, um, is there anything that you see that's changing with the business and may affect your practice or the law in general as regarding businesses with the introduction of um, artificial intelligence? I know there's some issues about data scraping and what you can and can't get. So I'm just curious as to what you might see in that realm going forward.
Sure. AI is a big issue in the legal world, and there's a lot of problems right now with, and you can see it like I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, so I see a lot of like court orders and opinions that people post.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of issues with attorneys using AI for legal research and submitting it to courts and not checking the legal citations
Sure.
or doing the proofreading or whatever. They just literally cut and paste. And it turns out that the cases are all hallucinated. They don't actually exist. They're all made
Oh,
up. And the legal precedent is made up, and these attorneys are getting in trouble left and right across the country. So, from a legal drafting standpoint, that's a big issue is that the AI is very helpful, but people, a lot of people are very lazy with it and they just take it
mhm,
for granted. And it's just like anything else. If someone were to hand you work product, you would
mhm,
want to check it to make sure that it's accurate and correct. And a lot of people just skip that step and take whatever AI does is true and turn it in. So that's a big issue in litigation is people not checking the stuff and turning
right.
it in. Another issue too is that now you have a lot of pro se litigants who are people without attorneys who just go on chat GPT or whatever and start drafting legal documents and submit them in cases. And they don't quite frankly care because they don't know any better if the stuff is accurate or not. And it takes a lot of judicial resource and a lot of resources from
Mhm,
attorneys on the other side to fix everything from that. And then there's also the other issues with AI in the legal profession, which is just, it's gonna replace a lot of human labor, but it's also gonna make things more productive on the same foot. So, and
mhm,
it's also gonna create more jobs. So it's affected particularly the litigation a
mhm,
lot so far, and obviously it's going to be more and more pervasive and affect the legal profession more as a whole.
mhm. So one of the things I find interesting with like you said, with people, they do these things and you get these bogus citations. Okay, it kind of reminds me of, back in the early days of the internet, people would say, well, read it on the internet, it's got to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, and we all laugh at that now. Well, where do you think AI gets all its data? The
Yeah.
same place you do
Yeah.
if you Google something or use some other you know search engine and you find things, you don't know if it's accurate or not unless you dig deeper. And an interesting experience I had is when I first started playing with ChatGPT, I saw this article that said how to train ChatGPT to sound like you.
Hmm.
So there's a step procedure and you copy a bunch of stuff you've written. And I had a bunch of stuff out on a blog that I'd handwritten myself, put it in there, added some other things and said, okay, now when I write something up, I say, write it in John's voice. And it does pretty much. But there are times when I'll read a sentence and I'll say, yeah, I'd never say that. I'd
Yeah.
never use that word. I'd never structure that sentence that way. So even though I've trained it to sound like me, it still doesn't sound like me. So you have to be very careful with these things and knowing what you're getting. And in some cases, you've got to thoroughly test it. I
Hmm.
mean, I can't imagine an attorney turning in a document with citations that they didn't even look up to see if they existed or not.
It happens. It
It's
happens all
just
the time, all
it's
across
it's
the country.
amazing to me that you would stake your reputation, your hard-won reputation on sloppy documentation. I mean, that's just
Yeah. No, it happens all the time. Like I said, on my LinkedIn feed, it's like a daily thing where across the country, not just at, local level or state level, I'm talking
Mhm.
like federal level, federal appellate level, where people are just turning in stuff without verifying it or checking it.
I imagine at some point there will be an AI resource for attorneys that's going to be a lot more robust and actually only look at existing case law and not.
Oh, there actually is.
Is there? Okay.
There's like, for instance, like the two big legal research companies are Westlaw and Lexis, and they
Okay.
both have proprietary AI systems where it's a closed universe where it only goes to real legal cases, real legal citations, and real legal
Okay.
authority, so that anything you pull out of their AI is 100% accurate and true and not made up.
Mhm. Yeah, I one time needed to research something and went into the law library here in San Bernardino. And I was just like, I'm just looking at all of this material going, God, where do you even start?
Hmm.
But they had I could actually look some stuff up on their they had like a little kiosk. I could look something up through Nexus and at least find where to go look and find the volume to read the entire citation. So,
Hmm.
but it was kind of overwhelming. I can understand why some people might that shortcut was probably really tempting out there to just grab that thing and use it and save myself a lot of time and a body. I mean, obviously, if you can do this and let it run in the background, you don't have to hire a paralegal or whatever level of person needs to be in your office to do that kind of research.
Correct. I
Yeah.
mean, it replaces I mean, it's obviously it creates jobs, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it replaces jobs at maybe at a bigger clip than it does at creating them, because now, certain people are redundant, particularly in the legal profession,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't need them because the AI can do it quicker and better. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you do the due diligence portion, which you should be doing anyways, and make sure that it's accurate and whatever, then it's a great, product that comes out, and, nobody misses the guy who used to write it, because now
Mm-hmm.
the machine writes it in, 30 seconds and does a great job.
Well, but on the other hand, we all know let's go back 10 years. We all know that the bottleneck in any organization is how much any individual can do,
Hmm.
right? So now we come here and we say, okay, I can run this query, and instead of taking me all day, it gets done in an hour. Okay. Well, now I can do 6, 7 cases a day, which expands the amount of work I can accomplish, which should expand the reach of your firm without adding anybody. Now, I don't know if the economies of scale work that way in the law, in the law, in your practice or not, because you still have to review, sign off, and then show up in court. And you probably can't do 6 or 7 times as many cases as you're doing. But
Correct.
I would think that it would give you opportunity to expand without adding bodies per se.
Correct. It does. I mean, obviously, there's things that technology can never replace the people of actually, showing up in the court and doing the stuff, or at least not anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that part stays the same. But like you were saying, you're able to use the AI as, as they would say, like a military type term, like a force multiplier,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah.
instead of, it would take, responsibly using it, checking the citations,
Mm-hmm.
doing it the correct way, it would take you however many hours to do one case, pleadings for one case or whatever, where now when you use the technology and then you do the due diligence follow-up, now you do it in a quarter of the time. So now you can do 4 times as much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's true. You just have to make sure that, you take responsibility
Mm-hmm.
for it and you check the work product. But
Yeah,
it can, like I said, it can be a force multiplier and it can
sure.
make you way more productive than you used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think one of the things that with the introduction of AI into all kinds of businesses is everybody's got these grandiose things of what it can do, but what it can really do is, like you said, is a force multiplier in things that take a lot of time,
Mhm.
but are necessary, but don't need to be done manually.
Mhm.
So, um, I think that, I mean, it's here to stay. I
Mhm.
recall, and I unfortunately was not able to attend this event, but I heard about it afterwards. The author Ray Bradbury, are you familiar with him? He wrote The Martian
Yes.
Chronicles and all
Yep.
these. He apparently was speaking at Caltech at some symposium or something, and in the course of it, he mentioned nuclear power, and he got a lot of boos. This was in the early 80s. He got a lot of
Mhm.
boos, and he stopped what he was saying, and he looked at the crowd and he said, "Some of you aren't apparently listening to what I'm saying. The genie is out of the bottle, folks, and you're never going to put him back in." Well, that's the same thing with AI. It's out.
Mhm.
It's done. You're never going to. All you can do is corral it, maybe tame it a little bit, but you're never going to put it back in the bottle and forget it ever existed. It's not going to happen.
Correct. And we're also a few, well, AI has been around for a while, but the pervasive use of AI, like, ChatGPT, whatever, we're a
Mhm.
few years into it now.
Right.
I mean, we're already looking at, next generational type things that are, mind blowing and whatever. So the people who are just now warming up to AI are already
Mhm.
2 or 3 years behind the learning
Right.
curve to the people who are on the cutting edge of
Right.
using AI, no matter what industry it is they're using. And that's why, like you said, the genie's out of the bottle. You have
Mhm.
to, no matter what you're in, I mean, AI is going to affect it. You have to make sure that you have to use it. There's no way around it, no matter what you're in.
Mhm.
And you should embrace it because I mean, it could be a terrible thing, but at the same time, it's a positive thing if you
Sure.
let it be a positive thing, and it can help a lot of people in a lot of different industries. But we are it's already here, it's already been established. We're already moving on to the next generation of what AI is.
Right.
Now you have, instead of just, generating documents and things like that, you have all these deep fake videos and
Mhm.
all these other things where, they can capture your voice and, capture your image and
Mhm.
make videos of you doing things and saying things that you never did or never whatever. And like, obviously it's going to get more and more complex as time goes
Sure.
on.
Well, one of the interesting things is I read an article yesterday or this morning, I can't recall, because of these deepfake videos and audio files, it has been recommended that you get a call from your spouse who says, I'm in trouble, but I need you to send me $1,000. And it sounds just like your wife,
Hmm.
right? Just like your spouse. And you're like, okay, and you do whatever you do, and then you realize you got scammed.
Yeah.
Well, this individual was suggesting that what you do is you set up in advance with every one of your loved ones where this thing might come happen, where you ask them a specific question, some mundane thing that
Hmm.
would never be out anywhere in the ether. Okay.
Hmm.
Because it was so long ago or so mundane, nobody would ever post about it, all that, and then see what the response is. And if you don't get the response, you've been scammed.
Yeah.
And it's
No.
simple to do. So when
Yeah.
you get this phone call that says, hey, grandpa, I got blah, 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 I can say, what was your mother's brother's name?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or whatever the code phrase is.
Hmm.
And that's simple because you can change that all the time.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever going to know how I don't know that anybody could develop a way to figure that out. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So there are
No.
ways to protect yourself from some of those deep fake things. Now, the video stuff where they show people doing things, and haven't there been some recent ones with politicians supposedly saying things they didn't say?
Yeah, for the videos that on YouTube or whatever, the videos that really entertain me are from my generation. Like there's a really popular meme that's going on right now with Mr. Rogers,
Okay.
where it's Mr. Rogers just doing crazy stuff with historic figures and just all kinds of nutty stuff. And it's Mr. Rogers' voice, it's Mr. Rogers, but it's
Right.
him with like people who've been dead for 1,000, like historical figures, or him going to like a skate park, or him just doing crazy stuff. And it's 100% believable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could see that being funny. Like, what would how would Howard Cosell interview a Roman gladiator, for
Yeah.
instance? I mean,
Yeah.
that could be entertaining, and that you
Yeah.
can do that for entertainment, but not to try and suggest that it's real,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
yet there's always nefarious actors, and there's always people who will find, something take something good and use it for bad. I mean, the example I always like to use people to say it can be good or bad. Take a hammer. Is it a tool or is it a weapon? Depends
Hmm.
on how I use it. It's the same thing with the internet. It's the same thing with AI, with
Hmm.
whatever comes down the pike in the next 50 years. It's always going to be the same. So,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah. Hmm. Well, Matt, if people wanted to find out more about your services and what you can do, I imagine, is your law now? This is something I'm not sure about with law practices. Are they confined to a specific state that you're licensed in, or for instance, could you do work for somebody in Nebraska as far as writing a contract, or do they have to find somebody local within Nebraska to do that kind of work?
It depends on what it is. Most of it's geographically isolated, but there's some things that you can do on a
Okay,
national level. So most of what I do, most of my clients are in Florida, but I have clients all over the country for different things.
okay. So if somebody wanted to set up a business partnership and they wanted a legal document for it, let's say they were in Maine, is that a universal thing, or would they really need to contact the law firm in Maine to
They
do it?
would need to contact the attorney in Maine because there's going to be a
Okay.
lot of Maine specific
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of what I thought, because
You know,
each state is different in the way their laws are, and even though they're basically all cover the same thing,
mhm.
it's the same but different. Is that a good expression?
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, there's stuff that's similar across all 50 states and
Hmm.
DC and whatever. And on a federal level, it's pretty uniform, but for specific state things, you have to have a specific state attorney for that
Okay.
state
Okay.
because what's right and great here in Florida could be catastrophic in California and vice versa.
Right.
That's why you always want to have someone who's licensed and practices in that jurisdiction to do things that require you to have someone licensed in that jurisdiction.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. That's yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Um, we kind of think of like medicine as universal, but you still have to be licensed to practice within a jurisdiction, don't you?
Correct.
Yeah. So a licensed doctor in Florida can't necessarily practice in Texas without passing the board exam or getting some legal way of allowing him to practice in Texas, him or her.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, that's kind of weird because, well, I guess the same thing would the same thing apply to somebody who's like a contractor?
Yes.
Yeah. So your
Yeah.
contractor license in one state doesn't necessarily allow you to practice your trade in another state under
Correct.
your home state license.
Correct. It's
Correct.
another 50 state license thing.
Wow.
Even though it's the same fundamental skills and
Hmm.
techniques and whatever, but it's still
Yeah.
a licensure thing where you have to be regulated and things like that.
Because I know like here in California, you have to, especially if you're going to build anything like more than 8 feet tall, there's all the seismic stuff you have to know about.
Mm-hmm.
Because the earth moves around here quite a bit.
No, well,
Yeah.
like here in Florida, we have all the hurricane stuff,
Right.
so everything has to be or hurricane, compliant.
Compliant. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some stuff is just not going to last. I mean,
No,
yeah. So, all right. Well, man, if somebody in Florida wanted to get in touch with you, um, what would be the best way for them to do so?
sure. So go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, which is my last name, fornarolegal.com. And that has all my contact information, has my email address, telephone number, all my social media, all my videos, all my white papers, all my blogs. It's all on there. So,
Okay, great.
it's very helpful for people who are in business, no matter where they are, because a lot of it's like general. A lot of the videos and a lot of the papers are general that apply anywhere.
Okay. All righty, great. Um, Very good. Well, then, thank you very much. If you'll hang on for a few minutes, we'll chat offline here and wrap some things up.
Sure,
Matt,
John.
thanks for being
Appreciate
a
it.
guest. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.